5 steps to boosting your confidence today. So believe it or not, one of the most terrible things I used to go through was a lack of confidence. And to be speaking on this podcast, talking to you about confidence is actually pretty crazy, to be honest. You know, confidence was something that I liked a lot growing up because I was very insecure about my teeth. I was very insecure about my clothes because I didn't have the money to afford nice clothes. I was very insecure about a lot of things about myself, even the way that I spoke, even my intelligence, to be honest. And as a result, I just always felt like I wasn't good enough. And all of that changed one day. It changed when I started to see that when I took actions towards my dreams, the confidence would slowly start to rise. And here's the thing, guys. When it comes to self-doubt, when it comes to these negative thoughts, they will always be there. But how you handle them is something that's really, really big. And I'm kind of letting that cat out of the bag. This isn't one of the top reasons to help you to build your confidence, but it's definitely one of the foundational pieces. But there's other 5 pieces that I want to talk to you guys about in this podcast. But before I do, I want to tell you guys why confidence is so important. And to do that, I'm going to tell you guys 2 quotes by Jim Rohn. Now, Jim Rohn, if you don't know who he was one of the personal development gurus from way back in the day. So you have guys now like Tony Robbins, you have E.T., so Eric Thomas, you have Les Brown, you have Bishop T.D. Jakes, you have a lot of different people that are preaching and talking about personal development and also some spiritual stuff because T.D. Jakes, he's a minister. But Jim Rohn, he was one of the originals. Him, Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar, so some of those guys, even Brian Tracy. But one quote that Jim Rohn said that I absolutely love was that he said that you should work harder on yourself than you do your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And I absolutely love this. And I will even tell you, if you Google Jim Rohn's net worth, and he's since passed, but if you would Google it, it would tell you that he was worth over $400 million. So if someone that is a multi-millionaire is giving me advice like this, best believe I'm going to listen. So that's what confidence is all about. And actually, I do you guys one more favor. I'm going to give you guys a second quote by Jim Rohn. And he says, when your personal development goes up, so does your bank account. So we know that money isn't everything. Zig Ziglar had a nice quote. He said, money isn't everything, but it's up there with oxygen. And I believe that it is up there with oxygen, guys. So we don't want to act like money isn't important, but it really is, guys. It really, really is. So with that being said, before I go into point number 1 into how to boost your confidence, I want you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel because if you're listening this far into this episode, that means that you're a part of the top 1%. So with that being said, subscribe to the channel and let's go into step number 1. So when it comes to confidence, I always have clients come to me and they're asking, well, coach, what is the secret? How do I build my confidence so I can make more sales, so that I can finally go out and speak to people in public? How do I boost my confidence so I can start to access some of these dreams, these goals that I have? And I always tell them, before we even focus on building your confidence, the first thing that we need to do is focus on your competence. So step number 1 in boosting your confidence is actually to focus on your competence. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is we need to focus on learning the skill before we even focus on feeling confident or being confident. Far too often, guys, I see people that simply don't know what to do. They don't know the steps, right? So this could be the steps to creating a podcast. It could be steps to selling their first real estate property or even buying their first real estate property. It could be even learning how to get out in public and just have normal social conversations. All these things are not a secret, but it's a science. And if you learn that science, you will learn how to buy a house, how to sell a house, how to have conversations in public, how to do a podcast that has millions of views. This stuff isn't impossible. And proof of that is simply from the people that we see from whether it's online, our personal friends, social media, magazines, TV shows, whatever the case may be. Like, we're not asking for pigs to fly. We're just simply asking, how do we, whether it's invest in real estate, whether it's, let's say, start a new portfolio with buying stocks and bonds and CDs and things like that, right? Like, there's so many things out there, but you first have to learn it. You first have to know the steps. You know, it's funny. I even had a client one day, and with him, we were working on his confidence when he was working on cars. And one of the things that I had to go and talk to him about was, well, do you know the first steps in working on cars, right? And he kind of struggled with that. And I said, hey, one of the goals that we want to make is that you're going to actually take a test on this specific thing that you're trying to learn. Because once you're able to pass that test, and I can even say once you're able to teach the stuff that's on the test, then surely you know it. And once you know it, your skill set and also your confidence will rise. Again, as Jim Rohn said, when your personal development goes up, so does your bank account. So the best way to do this, and I want everyone to pull out their phones and do this, I want you to Google something called Bloom's taxonomy, okay? Bloom's taxonomy. And what you'll see is you'll see a pyramid, okay? And with this pyramid, it'll show you the levels of competence. And on the very most bottom level is just simply being able to remember the facts. Your ability to simply recall what was taught to you or what you read in the book, okay? This is something that we're typically asked in school, right? When you take a test, we're basically just seeing, can you regurgitate, restate the things that the teacher taught you, essentially? And if you ever do that, you're deemed to have known it, to be smart, right? And that's not really a great way of judging if someone knows something, because again, it's on the bottom level. But as you start to move up on that ladder, right? So the next level on that ladder is understanding, right? So you can remember the facts, but can you understand why the facts are the facts? And then being able to apply it, evaluate what you apply. And then at the top, most highest level is your ability to create. This is where you see people that's on the front end lines of this new innovative stuff, whether it's creating the new iPhone or even creating a new sales strategy, right? So many different things. But to be able to get to that level, you have to go through the first few levels, right? So being able to understand the facts, remember the facts, and analyze it, apply it, and so on and so forth, right? Evaluate it as well. Once you do this, your confidence will definitely rise no matter what area in your life you're trying to be competent in, right? That you're trying to be confident in. So what I want you guys to do is actually let go of feeling confident and focus on being competent. Step number 2, I absolutely love this one. This is something I do a lot with my clients in my sessions, on these podcast shows, and even on my emails. And step number 2 to boosting your confidence is to practice being vulnerable. When I'm able to practice being vulnerable with my clients, what I'm modeling is that you can be anxious or not be perfect, right? And still be able to be worthy, still be seen as strong, smart, intelligent, beauty, worthy, all of these things. But too often people are caught up in all or nothing thinking that if I'm not perfect, then I'm terrible. If I'm not smart, or if I'm not getting straight A's on whatever test I'm taking, then that means that I'm dumb. And that is not the case. When you're able to practice your vulnerability, when you're able to be vulnerable and transparent with people, what you're doing to yourself is that you're showing your mind that who you are, flaws and all, is enough. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to communicate to ourselves, because once we do that, it makes it easier for us to put ourselves out there quicker whenever we're trying new things. Also, what I love about this quote is that simply being anxious and still being able to take action is truly a sign of being strong. Because one of the easiest things you can do is take action when you're confident. Well, a lot of people can do that. One can say everybody can do that, right? But to be able to take action when you're afraid, to be able to take action when you're a little anxious, you're a little unsure, when you have that doubt creeping into your mind, when you're still able to take action during that time, you enter something that's totally different from confidence, something that's even greater, and that's called courage. Courage is being able to do something even if fear is present. And that is a true sign of being strong. That is a true sign of being confident, to be honest, guys. So what I want you to focus on is being open, being vulnerable. Now, there's 3 ways that you can do this, right? And I tell a lot of my clients who've been through trauma to go through these 3 ways. I actually have one client doing this now. So one of the first ways to do this, the first step, is to practice being vulnerable amongst yourself. So what I want you to do is start to journal. Start a journal about some of your imperfections, some of those negative thoughts that you have, some of those doubts, right? I want you to start to journal those things. And I want you to practice saying these things out loud. Practice using this vocabulary. And trust when I say it'll help you to move on to step number 2, which is now practicing being vulnerable with someone that is safe. Now, I typically tell them to do this with me, someone who is a licensed therapist, because by law, I am held to confidentiality, meaning I cannot share anything that you share with me unless you're thinking about harming yourself, unless you're thinking about harming someone else. That's the only time I have to break confidentiality. So in other words, you're completely safe. You are completely safe from judgment, from being seen as less than, right? All of those things that would stop someone from being open, you are protected from that. And what this now gets you more comfortable doing is speaking to someone, looking someone dead in their eyes as you say what it is that you've gone through, what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you're thinking. Now, once you get past that level, what you then want to do, level 3, is you deciding to speak to those people that are close to you. So your friends, your family, your loved ones. When you're able to do this, you will see that these people will still love you and care about you, even though you've gone through tough times, even though right now everything isn't perfect in your life. And what's also great about this is actually their responses doesn't matter. What really matters is seeing that you're able to do this, even when you feel unsure about yourself. And I tell you, I kid you not, guys, every time I do this with my clients, it helps me to feel okay with the things that I've been through, the things that I'm currently going through, and also the things that I will go through in the future. And it's because I'm open to sharing these things. I'm not trying to hide it or cover it up with shame. And that's something else I can talk about in another podcast, how shame actually waters the seeds of doubt, of anxiety, of low self-esteem. Whenever you shame yourself, you're putting yourself in a box and you're kicking it under the bed, never to be seen again. And I want you guys to think, what does that say to you, right? When you do those things, when you hide yourself, when you beat yourself up, when you're ashamed of being who you are. It's very impossible for you to have a high self-esteem, to have confidence when you're shaming yourself about every mistake that you make. So step number 2, practice being vulnerable. All right, step number 3. And before I give this step, I want you guys to imagine something. I want you to imagine that you had to play one-on-one basketball against Kevin Durant. Now, everybody pretty much knows who Kevin Durant is. I'm pretty sure you know, but I just want to restate some facts about Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant is 6'11", all right? Kevin Durant is a multi-time, not only finals MVP, but multi-time all-first team NBA player, right? So in other words, this guy is one of the absolute greats when it comes to basketball. And actually, some actually refer to him as being one of the best, if not at least top 3 scorers of all time. Some may even say he's more dominant as a scorer than Kobe and maybe even Jordan. Now, that's not a discussion we're going to get into, but I just want you to imagine that you had to play one-on-one against Kevin Durant. And I want you to imagine that if you were to lose, right? If you were to lose this one-on-one game, you would lose $1 million, right? So in other words, the winner of the game gets $1 million, all right? Now, I would ask, how confident would you feel playing against Kevin Durant, someone that is a future Hall of Famer? Probably not, right? You probably wouldn't be too confident, especially if he gets ball first. But to increase your confidence, what if I told you for 1 year you had an opportunity to have Michael Jordan as your coach? Would you feel more confident? I think so. I think you probably still wouldn't beat him, but I think you would get a little bit more confident, right? Now, let me add something to that. So let's say you had Michael Jordan as your coach, but also you had, let's say, Kobe Bryant as a teammate, right? And let's say this was not Kobe Bryant in the later years of his life, right? So when he was in year 19 or 20 in the NBA, I'm talking prime time Kobe Bryant. I'm talking 2006 Kobe when he scored 81 points against the Toronto Raptors. Imagine if he was on your team, and now it's you two versus that one player, Kevin Durant, no matter how great he is, right? So you got Michael Jordan coaching you. You got Kobe Bryant, right, off there to the side, being your teammate. And I'll even say, hey, let's say you got LeBron James on the bench ready to come in and sub in for Kobe whenever he gets tired. Would you then feel confident? I think you would have all the confidence in the world. And this goes to my next point number 3. One of the best ways to build confidence is to get a support system. When you have a coach and a group of people that is focused on the same goal, it is almost impossible for you not to accomplish your goals, especially if you're taking action. And it's also by far one of the quickest ways to boost your confidence because you can rely on the experience and the strengths of these people that are now in your community, these people that are now a part of your support system. Sometimes I think people overlook how powerful this can be. And I think there's 2 things that stop people from actually doing this. One is the money that sometimes it costs to have a coach. Now, there's definitely mentors out there that you can find that will actually mentor and coach you for free. But there's going to be a time where you're going to have to pay for that coaching. You're going to have to pay for that membership, that mentorship, if you will. And for a lot of people, because they don't see themselves as worthy, they are not going to spend that money. And this is going to be another point I'll probably make in a later episode. But by investing in yourself, you're actually telling yourself that you actually are worthy. And as a matter of fact, that was actually a podcast I already did. So check in my past episodes. You'll see where I talk about the top 5 reasons why it's important for you to invest in yourself. And one of those reasons I say is that it would increase your self-worth, okay? Now, the second thing that gets in the way of people reaching out, getting support, is because they feel like they're not worthy enough to speak or to work with people that may be in the next level above them or several levels above them. So if you're someone who is starting a business, right, has never started a business, this is your very first time, and now you find yourself in a room full of experienced entrepreneurs, people that have decades of experience, people that are making 7 and 8 figures, you may feel that you're not worthy enough for their time. And as a result, you're not going to open up to them. You're not even going to introduce yourself to them. And that is something that's stopping you from getting to that same level that they are at. So again, 2 reasons that I see stop people from actually building a support system is 1, the money, 2, not feeling like they're worthy enough. And what's funny about those 2 things is that those people that you're looking at that are making 7 figures, 8 figures, or whatever the factor is that makes you feel like they're better than you, at one point in time, they were in your shoes. They were exactly in your shoes. And I want you guys to feel like, hey, you can actually open up and reach out to them and actually invest in yourself to get the support system that you need. Because there was a time that not only Kobe, LeBron, and Michael Jordan were not great athletes, if you will, but even Kevin Durant. But eventually they became these people. And it's the same exact thing for you. So again, make sure that you find a support system. That is step number 3, and it is vital. Step number 4, one of the best ways to build confidence is to actually close the gap between having an idea and taking action. Now, I love this. You know, we all heard the saying, speed kills. And one thing that speed definitely kills is doubt. Because whenever someone takes time between taking an action and having an idea, their mind will start to show them. It gives their mind the opportunity to show them all the reasons why they shouldn't take this next step. All the reasons why something bad could happen. You know, I'll even say this, guys. I think what happens is that people can actually build a bad habit of having bad habits. People can build a bad habit of obviously procrastinating. And what we want to do is we want to start off small with, let's say, doing something around the house where you notice that, let's say, the dishes need to be done. And instead of waiting 2 days to do it, you do it right then and there. Or let's say there's some other project at work that you need to do, or a project within your business, or a client that you need to get back to, right? Or even something personal. Let's say you've told yourself, I want to go to the gym, but you've been delaying it. You've been procrastinating on it. What I want you to do is I want you to quickly take action, even if it's the smallest of actions. I want you to still take a quick action towards this idea, this goal that you have. So that way we can start practicing this idea, start building this muscle of being able to take quick and fast actions. Because one thing that's going to help you guys is being able to see progress that's being made. When you see progress being made on your endeavors, your dreams, and your goals, that right there will not only boost your confidence, but a bonus to that is that it will actually boost motivation. So what I want you to do is to pick one goal that you have and then ask yourself, what can I complete within 24 hours in regards to this goal? Now, before you commit to the action, I always tell my clients this action needs to be something that has a high probability of you accomplishing it. So the scale that I always use is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that it is incredibly easy for you to accomplish this goal, and 1 being that it's incredibly hard. I need you to pick something that is at least a 7. If you do that, you'll be able to accomplish that action within 24 hours and thus get the momentum going, get the ball going in regards to this goal. And that is a great way to build your confidence. All right, step number 5. And again, if you made it past this far in this podcast, it tells me that you're getting a lot of value from it. And because of that, I definitely want you to subscribe to this channel because I have more gems like this that I'll be sharing with you. And these gems that I share with you in these podcasts, people are currently paying me for these gems. So you're getting them absolutely free. And I don't want you to miss another episode. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So step number 5, I actually love telling a story about step number 5. And it's from a guy named Roger Bannister. Now, back in the 1950s, it was worldwide known that the human being, the human body, could not run a mile in under 4 minutes. And one day, a guy named Roger Bannister set out to actually debunk that myth. And he did. One day in 1950, he actually ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And he absolutely shocked the world. He shocked all the scientists, all the doctors, everyone that was saying that this is humanly impossible. He totally shocked them. But here's the thing. The greatest thing about that story is that about a week later, someone else broke the 4-minute mile. And actually, they beat his time. And then a little bit after that, maybe a week later, someone else beat that person's time. And then just again and again and again, day after day after day, people started to break this 4-minute mile. And what that showed is that when people started to believe, when people started to see that it was actually possible, they actually pushed themselves, they actually challenged themselves to beat the status quo. And that's what I want to get at with point number 5. Point number 5, in terms of how to boost your confidence, is to challenge yourself just a little bit more. And I want to stress the just a little bit more piece, okay? Because what I tend to see for a lot of people is that when they challenge themselves too much, they find themselves overwhelmed with anxiety and then they stop. But then on the other hand, when I see people don't challenge themselves enough, they start to get bored. They even get a little depressed. So the goal is to find what it is that your standards are. Find it is what you feel that you're just barely good enough to do, right? And then I want you to challenge yourself just a little bit above that. I want to mentally stretch you. And when we do that, it gives us this ability, it gives us this idea that we can do hard things. And when you have this mental resilience, it's very easy for you to do the tough things that everybody else is afraid to do. And this is how you're going to boost your confidence, by challenging yourself. So what I want you to do with this one is to pick one area of your life that you're looking to improve in and ask yourself, at your current state, what do you feel is possible? Once you have that idea, I then want you to push yourself just a little bit more. So set a goal, set a target that's a little bit higher than what it is that you currently can do. And actually, I would tell you, combine step number 4 of finding a support system to help you to succeed at that level that's a little bit beyond what you think is possible. When you do that, you guarantee your success. And now you're able to build on that. You know, I'll even make it simple for you. If you typically go to the gym, and when you go, you typically run a mile, I'll ask you, can you maybe run a mile and a quarter? Let's see if you can do that. Once you're able to do that, this now becomes the new norm. Now every week that you go in, you're running for a mile and a quarter. And once your body adjusts to that, you then will start to run for a mile and a half. And we'll start to hit that mark again and again and again. All right? So that is how you're going to boost your confidence, is by challenging yourself just a little bit more. Now, here's something that I didn't tell you that I was going to do, and it's going to give you a bonus, all right? Because again, I want to reward people for making it to the end of these episodes. So there's a bonus step that I wanted to add to boosting your confidence, and this is a relatively new one that I came across, and it's definitely been helpful for me. But bonus tip when it comes to boosting your confidence is that you actually need to start to celebrate yourself and practice self-care. Now, how does this work with building your confidence? Well, when you celebrate yourself, what you're doing is you're acknowledging that you've improved, that something has been won, that you've actually accomplished a goal that's on your to-do list. And what that celebrating does to the mind is it tells it that, hey, you're on the right path. And once you have that confirmation, it's going to push you to reach that next milestone. But if we don't take time to celebrate ourselves, what we're going to do is we're going to tell ourselves subconsciously that we're not worthy of reaching these goals, or being celebrated rather. But also it's going to tell us that, hey, we haven't done anything, even though we've been working on this goal for 6 months, for a year, for a decade. This is why we want to stop and honor and celebrate the path that we've been on. Because if I were to ask you to compare where you are today versus where you were 5 years ago, you'll tell me that, man, I am in 2 completely different places. And that's true, guys. That's so true. So trust me, stop and celebrate. You will not regret it. And with the self-care piece, it goes to the investment piece that I talked about earlier. When you cherish yourself, when you invest in yourself, when you practice self-care, just like you take care of your house, your car, or those brand new pair of Jordans that you have, when you take care of those things, you're telling yourself that these things are worthy, that they are a prized possession of yours. And I can't think of anything that is more worthy than the person that I'm speaking to right now. So with that being said, I'm going to summarize these 5 main points plus the bonus point when it comes to boosting your confidence. So the first step that I mentioned, to boost your confidence, you need to first start boosting your competence. And I want you guys to look at Bloom's taxonomy. So go ahead and Google that. The second step that I made is that you need to practice being vulnerable. And I gave you 3 steps on how to do that. The first one being journaling. The third, get a support system. If I have Kobe Bryant as my teammate and Michael Jordan as my coach, guys, I feel very confident going into any one-on-one matchup. Step number 4, make sure you close the gap between having an idea and having an action or taking an action. Trust me when I say speed kills, and it kills self-doubt. All right, step number 5, make sure that you challenge yourself just a little bit more. This is where I talked about the Roger Bannister story. And then last, the bonus, and thank you for staying this long. Make sure that you celebrate yourself and that you practice self-care. All right, guys, this is Coach Wells. I'm a licensed therapist, and thank you for checking this out. Also, make sure you check in the bio. I have a newsletter that I would love for you guys to join where I give more gems like this. All right, guys, see you later.